Let's head over to George, who's an Arsenal fan. Good evening, George. George, you there, sir?
George is gone.
George is back. How are we, George?
Evening. Sorry, I had you on mute there.
That's all right, mate.
When you're coming on the radio, George, it's not going to be on mute, mate.
Yeah, I thought if I mute it, I might save on the cost of waiting to pay for this call. Not the case.
Right. So, George, today's result, I looked at it and I thought, look, this could offer a difficult task for Arsenal because Villa have been very, very good this season. But you guys have been so strong. And listen, I'm a Spurs fan. Saying how good Arsenal have been is not something I want to do naturally, but you've been fantastic. And every time something's come up, I've gone, this is where they might slip up. And you haven't. What went wrong today, George?
Look, it's easy to throw the blame game and say, blame individual players. But yeah, we just, look, first half, didn't capitalise on it. Elephant in the room is we ain't got a striker, and a striker. But we can sit here and criticise Arteta's 15 formations that he's got. But yeah, I think playing Havertz as a number 8 instead of having up top was a big mistake.
Yeah, that made no sense.
After the Bayern game, Kivior's not going to see us start in the league again, which is unfortunate because we've got Zinchenko, who, listen, he elevated us and take us that step up, but he's just not good enough. Look, listen, he's sitting there talking about fighting for his country, but I don't know what he's trying to do to Tielemans, put it through his legs, and then just stop dead when it don't work. It's just, listen, we can all blame individual players, right? But yeah, just not good enough overall, I think. Heads went at 60 minutes, 65 minutes. Majestic, I don't know, I'm deflated. I'm not one of these Arsenal fans that sits here and says we're going to do the double because I'm probably the most negative Arsenal fan you'll meet. But
George, I'm going to ask you this because, of course, you're only 2 points behind Manchester City. There's such a long way to go as well. It's not over at all. And there's so many positives to look at. You've still got that game in Munich on Wednesday. That's going to be difficult, but do you think Arteta can get the players up for that and get over that hurdle when all of a sudden you're in a semi-final of the Champions League?
Well, if he doesn't, do we have to start asking questions at that point?
Well, this is a good point. When do you ask questions of the manager?
Because if you look at his tenure so far, listen, he's brought us out of the mud. Arsenal have been a laughing stock for years. And it's nice to see Man United taking our space doing that now after so many years. But surely question marks have to be asked. I mean, he gets paid to do it, so he has to do it, right? But it's not going to be an easy gig against Bayern with a full stadium of fans. But yeah, obviously you got Harry Kane there as well, which is in a bane of our life. Even left, right? I mean,
I think going to Arteta, I think he's more than done enough to warrant being the Arsenal manager for certainly for next year and probably another 2 years for what he's done. But the actual point of winning becomes a pressure in itself. Yeah. Poch had that at Spurs, didn't he? And that's where we're at. That's where we're at now. He's got it at Chelsea. He's got it at Chelsea. It's hanging over him. It's a tough one to get out of the system when you're at a top club and you can't get it over the line. I mean, to be fair to him, he hasn't. It's only last year really that they blew out, and when they was in competition, and this year again they're up against a fantastic Man City.
So it wasn't only last year. There was also the year before where they dropped the top 4 to Spurs, and they was in cruise control. Okay, it's not the first time.
I thought you get your Spurs.
No, I'm just saying because
bearing going.
No, it's nothing to do with the Spurs flag bearing. I'm talking about George because he's already said it. Arsenal fans, when do you start questioning Mikel Arteta? As George has just said, I'm not saying that. I think Arteta and Pardew have done a wonderful job at Arsenal, and I'm going to say that.
Well, I'll tell you something. Forget about Arteta for a minute. That team is a very young team. It's going to be around for the next 3 or 4 years.
If they can keep the players, if they don't win anything.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.